The Vanity of Philosophic Systems, a poem addressed to the Royal Society. Sagacious Newton, lost with pondering thought, to mathematic rules a system brought. God, as an Eastern monarch, left for show. His viceroy, Gravity, the god below. By Anonymous. What did this poem mean? We take a look at his starting words. On first look, this is pro-Newton. The mind of Newton brought to the world a system to help understand its workings and magic. Essentially, he establishes rules. Each court has rules just as nature has rules. Sports do not magically function with no order, nor is there a mystifying force at play. Instead, every action continues until altered by another. This can all be observed, quantified, measured, studied, and recorded. Next, we take a look at the next line. God as an Eastern monarch left for show. As Dr. Cassell mentions in Parasol, Eastern monarchs acted as figureheads. They were representatives of God, an unchanging, permanent entity that cannot be moved. As such, Newton's ideas probably stripped away the idea of God's proactivity. God was no longer interacting with us. Instead, he is like a figurehead, sitting and watching, but unchanging and unmoving. Lastly, we take a look at the last line. His viceroy, Gravity, the god below. This line tells us that God is no longer the one in charge, and gravity is actually what is causing things to happen. So much like in the picture we see here, in the chessboard, queens have more power than the king, and if anything, the king is like a figurehead. And Newton's discoveries did more than just to reveal that he's a figurehead. It almost dethrones the idea of God being proactive with us. The poet seems to indicate that the way Newton has changed the worldview might not be positive. In fact, based on the title, the fact that he thinks it's vain clearly leans towards this suggestion. If we take a look at this tree, for example, the worldview prior to Newton's discoveries would be that possibly a spirit or angels are causing the tree to move and bring about wind. Instead, Newton's discoveries tell us that, or lead us to discovery of understanding how air current systems work and how gravity affects air current, and thus explains the motion behind the tree. So why is the poet concerned? Possibly because he sees Newton's discoveries as a way for people to distance themselves from religion. If there's a system of thought that offers explanations different, then they may turn to that. Another reason may be that he's concerned with mankind pursuing things that are part of God's domain and realm, as indicated by the title, The Vanity of Philosophic Systems, suggesting that he believes man might not or should not reach into these areas, as these are the regions for which greater beings delve in. So what have I learned? I learned that even though things might threaten your worldview, it's better to let them approach you because of the possible excitement and new discovery rather than be afraid as it approaches you. Though it may seem threatening and upset everything you know, it may in fact be for the better as it may lead to new things.